Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
Eliminamos vários ministérios da máquina pública. E ao mesmo tempo nós não vamos parar por aí. Já estão encomendados. Deixa eu pedir uma pastilha. Já estão encomendados estudos para eliminar. Chega, é muito. Já estão.
Nah, man, I would have got up out of there right there. You saw how that lady looked at him? Yeah, that's crazy. Shout out to Squishy Honey Astrax for sending me this video. Shout out to UFO Gozium for uploading it. Yo, this was nuts. Looking like the movie They Live.
Because the Antichrist dude, Abdullah Hashem, what he's saying is terrifying. Right. He saw all those clips of people saying he's the Antichrist, and he's like, I'm not the Antichrist. I'm the successor of Jesus Christ, the successor of Simon Peter, the true Pope. He's the founder of a Mahdi religion of peace and light. His quote is, personally sent by Jesus Christ to deliver the end time message. He's saying that he is the messenger sent to the Abrahamic religions, so Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim. He openly calls on Christians to obey him in his divine authority. They interviewed some of his followers, and they've witnessed him performing miracles. Apparently he's brought people back from the dead. This one lady said that he literally made the moon disappear one time. And he's like, the Antichrist is not a man, but it is a collection of men. And he's like, the United States of America is the Antichrist.
I watched the video of their service or something, and it was trippy. It just really kind of messed me up. It was weird.
But all the followers wear black beanies and black veils and stuff. This could just be a social media thing, but also be on the lookout for them.
Newly surfaced CCTV footage from the devastating Myanmar earthquake has captured a fault line moving for the first time ever. The video shows a sudden horizontal ground shift, evidence of a strike slip fault. In this case, Myanmar's 750-mile-long Sagaing fault ruptured near the surface. Mother Nature truly is terrifying.
Yo, that's crazy. It's that damn squirrel from Ice Age. I know it.
Dickhead. Dickhead. Yo.
Lower it.
Yo, he's a dickhead, yo. He's a dickhead. Yo, two-steppers. Oh, shit. Get the fuck in the car. Get the fuck in. You got a two-step here. What the fuck? Oh. I'm getting. What the fuck? Come get him,
He burnt.
Oh no.
He just lost every certification he had. Shout out to YBL. That was crazy. He was at the right place at the right time to catch this.
Oh, hermano, no me volvió la mía volada, weón. Hola, culiao. Oh. Oh. Me voy a volar, weón. Hermano, está violita, weón.
There were also hundreds of thousands of square feet of spray-on fireproofing to be removed throughout both buildings. And then there were the elevators. This is the list of elevator shafts with asbestos-containing material as of December 2000. This is Tower 1. And this is Tower 2. Reportedly, by the year 2000, the Port Authority was looking at an asbestos abatement bill of as much as $1 billion, the same money it would have cost to build a brand new tower. Back in the 90s, the Port Authority had sued the insurance companies, trying to get them to cover the cost of the asbestos removal. But in May 2001, 4 months before the terrorist attack, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey lost their 10-year-old court battle. At that point, the Port Authority was between a rock and a hard place. The Twin Towers could no longer be maintained without incurring the cost of asbestos removal, yet they could not be demolished because of the large amounts of asbestos they contained. The only remaining option was to dismantle and remove the two poison-filled giants one piece at a time. But the cost of such an operation would have been so astronomical that no one has ever tried to put a number on it.
So here's the big dogs. Since 2006, the snow on Mount Shasta has 5 times more aluminum, 61,000 micrograms per liter, than the soil underneath it. Pure white snow has more aluminum in it than mud. Can you beat that? The snow water is unsafe to drink on Mount Shasta. How can white snow have more aluminum than mud? Now, the aluminum content of rain should be 0, with a pH of 5.5. When jets are not spraying, maybe so. When the jets are spraying, we get up to 13,100 micrograms per liter and pH up to 100 times normal. It goes really alkaline. This is over 13 times the federal safety limits for drinking water. Don't drink the water.
Everybody breathe in, hands go up, and push down.
Yo, this is mad creepy. I'll explain in 1 second. So, Walmart is building a whole freaking city in Arkansas. Well, I have a friend that lives in Arkansas, so shout out to Heather, because she sent me this information, and she put all the stuff together, and she checked the location of this city that Walmart is building, right? She compared it to a map, a pretty known map, and she found out that this entire city was built in an area that would still be here after the Great Flood of 2025. If you look right here, more than half of Arkansas is completely wiped off the map. And you mean to tell me that Walmart, of all corporations, don't you know about the Walmart theory? Other word theory, that weird thing with Walmart. The Walmarts that are closing down all over the country with crazy barbed wire fences, you know that one? Is building a whole freaking city in the one location that would not be flooding in that state. If you live in a blue area, you better find yourself somewhere to go like all the billionaires did years ago. Don't forget what I just posted earlier. And by the way, it's talking about the guy who's in office now when the situation happening. It's not a long time ago. This was now. What in the world is going on? A mile-wide underwater volcano is ready to blow its top off the west coast in coming months, causing 10,000 earthquakes in one day. Allegedly, but the Walmart city is not allegedly.
Yo, that crazy. It said a mile-wide volcano. Yo, that's crazy. Shout outs to the Real Moon Henry. I gotta look more into this Walmart city. This is crazy. If it's true.
If this doesn't make you believe that we live in a hologram in a matrix, y'all, I don't know what will, y'all, because please explain what is going on here. Can anybody explain what's going on here? Why is this bird see-through? And if it's not see-through or a hologram, why and how is this bird letting this person get so close to it, y'all? These birds, where I'm from, these birds be ready to jump as soon as they see a camera. You know what I'm saying? But for this person to be this close to it, staring in its eye, I guess this is some of the weird things that takes place in Australia. Is that why they call it, you know, the down under? Because a lot of weird things happen under there. And then this over here, this guy is bringing this thing in. What is that, y'all? What is this? What kind of creature is it? It looks like it's still alive. It looks like it's still breathing, like it's blowhole. What is that, y'all? Oh my goodness, is that like a pet? Is that his pet or something? It's like he took that thing for a walk or a swim. Look, it's like he's got it on a leash. What is going on here, y'all? There's some crazy things going on in this world, man. This is crazy. But let me know what you guys think about this video. The shift is here. Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
Diddy just had his first witness testifying against him in his trial. This witness was a security guard that was there during the hotel incident where we saw Diddy dragging Cassie Ventura. And he is the witness who also recorded this video on his cell phone and who Diddy bribed $100,000 to make this video go away. And they already played this video to the jury, so let's go ahead and get into it. The government called witness LAPD officer Israel Flores to the stand. And he was a security guard in 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel where we saw Diddy attacking Cassie. He said on March 5th of 2016 he was told about the 6th floor. There he recognized Diddy and he was wearing a gray sweatshirt. He asked what his title of his job was during the time and he said that he was the assistant director of security. They made incident reports and they also attached photos to the incident reports. They asked him when did this incident take place and he said 11 a.m. I got a report of a woman in distress on the 6th floor. I closed the security base and checked the camera, and there was an African American man pacing back and forth, and I didn't see a female, and I rushed there. He said that when he arrived on the 6th floor, he saw Diddy in a towel, and he saw Cassie on the floor. He said they told them that if they were arguing, they'd have to take it back to the room, and that the broken vase would be charged to the room, and Cassie said that she wanted her phone and her bag. He then went on to say that Cassie said that she wanted to leave, and Diddy said, "You're not leaving." He said inside the room he saw a black man wearing dark clothing. They asked him what did Diddy do after Cassie left and he said he called for me. He was holding a stack of money and not to tell anyone. The government said, "What did you say?" And he said, "I said I don't want your money. The damage is going to be charged to your room." The government said, "Where did Cassie go?" And he said, "After I spoke with her, she left. A car pulled up and she left in a black SUV." The government asked, "Was there a driver?" And he said 7 feet. He said the driver said she wants to leave and I said, "I'm talking to her, not you," and then they left. He said we went up to Diddy's room to remind him of the hotel rules. He opens the door and grabs the phone and says, "Are you recording me?" And I pinned him against the wall. That I took photos of the broken vase to tell them to come clean it up. I went to write the incident report. The government said, "Is that it?" He said, "My report is with my name on it." The government then asked him, "Did you review the video?" And he said yes. And the government proceeds to show him this video and then they say, "Let's walk through it." And they ask him, "Who's this?" And he says, "Cassie." And then they say, "Who's this?" And he says, "Diddy." And they ask him, "What's happening here?" And he said, "She picked up the wall phone." The government then said, "What did you find when you got there?" And he said, "The broken vase." The government then asked, "What is at the end of this video?" And he said, "Me coming up the elevator." The government said, "Let's pull up the incident report again." He said, "Here." We reminded him that the checkout time was approaching. "What did you add to the incident report after you reviewed the video?" And he said, "I described what I saw in the video." The government said, "What else did you do with the video?" And he said, "I recorded 2 videos of it with my iPhone to show my wife at home." Then this is where they play the video that he recorded of this hotel footage of Diddy attacking Cassie for the jury. The government said, "Did you work the next day?" And he said, "No, I had the next 2 days off." The government then said, "When you came back in, did you look for the video?" And he said, "I did." He said when he came back, it was gone. And they asked him, "Did you ever see it again?" And he said, "Yes, recently." Then the judge called for cross-examination, and this is where Diddy's lawyer, Brian Steele, starts questioning this witness. Brian Steele asks, "You mentioned that you get off the elevator at 11:14 or 11:15, and you described Diddy as having a devilish expression on his face?" And he said, "Yes, that's my opinion." Steele said, "When you get off the elevator, what's in your hand?" And he said, "My radio." Brian Steele said, "He did not attack you, did he?" And he said, "No." Brian Steele then asked, "Was there any law enforcement involvement?" And he said, "No." "Videoed it for your wife and you kept it, right?" And he said, "I did." Brian Steele then said, "But never was law enforcement called?" And he said, "They were not." "You told the jury that Diddy said to Cassie, 'You're not leaving,' but your report did not say that, right?" And he said, "At that point, I did not believe it was a significant fact. I'm not going to put down the back and forth." Brian Steele then says, so it wasn't important 9 years ago, but only now, and the government objected and the judge overruled. The security guard said, I did not put it in the report at that time. Brian Steele then said, you said you were offered a bribe, but hadn't you told him that he had to pay for the base? And he said yes. Brian Steele then says, the gentleman you say you saw in the room, you described to the jury things not in your report. The security guard said he didn't engage. Why didn't you ask him his name? And he said he wasn't talking to no one. Brian Steele then asked, did you tell anyone at the time? And he said no. Brian Steele then asked about the 7-foot driver. Do you know who it was? And he said, I don't know, but Cassie knew him. Brian Steele then said, you didn't put in your report that you offered to call law enforcement, but she refused. Why not? And he said, because she said no, so there was no reason to include it. You said that you put Mr. Combs against the wall. That's aggressive, isn't it? He said it could be, but I only put my forearm against his chest. Brian Steele said, but you didn't put that in your report. He said, you're asking me to have put more detail in my report. Brian Steele then asked, do you remember the layout? And he said, no, just a corner room. Brian Steele then says, was it a normal hotel room like I would have stayed in, or just one room, or did it have a big living room? And he said, I don't know. The third party, you said he was on the bed, and he said it was a pullout. Brian Steele then asked him, you were in the hospitality business as well as security, right? And he says, yes. Brian Steele then says, Diddy, it was clear to you that he wanted to pay for the damage, right? And the government calls objection, and the judge says, ask in a different way. Brian Steele then says, it can be embarrassing for a guest, and the government calls objection again, and the judge sustained it. Brian Steele then says, one moment, nothing further, and the judge redirects. The government then says, did you typically include every detail in your report? And he says no. The government said, did he seem drunk or high? And he said no. Then they asked, when he offered you money, what did he say? And he said that he didn't want anyone to know about it, pretty much. The government then said, which way did Diddy drag Cassie? And he says, back towards the room, and the government says nothing further. And this is a big deal. Like I said, the government wants to use the video to say that Diddy was dragging her back to the freak off that was in the room to prove trafficking, force, fraud, or coercion. So the fact that this witness just claimed that he was dragging her back to that room is a big deal. The judge then says recross. Brian Steele says there are motion sensitive cameras, so there are gaps, right? And he says yes. Brian Steele says nothing further. Then the judge calls the next witness. This witness is going to be one of the workers, and we'll get into that next. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
I'm still trying to figure out how the video disappeared. Shout outs to Kadisha Lynn. If that man didn't record that footage, there would have been no evidence of what Cassie was saying. That's crazy. I ain't never seen no cloud do that. Looked like it had a bunch of electric orbs going crazy inside of it. Shout out to Samantha, recorded this on her terrace. She recorded this at the perfect time. This is crazy.
Didn't believe it, because have you seen how certain streaming shows will edit certain parts out?
They did that for The Passion on Netflix.
Yeah.
What did they take out?
They took out the verse from Isaiah at the beginning.
And I saw that. And I saw this one. I said, there's no way. Because in Robin Hood, the one with Russell Crowe, very first thing, there's a scroll that pops up, and in old lettering, it says, in times of tyranny and injustice, when law oppresses the people, the outlaw takes his place in history.
And he took that out of Netflix?
Only in the U.S. Canada, Ireland, people from Britain. They're like, it's on ours.
We're getting so played, you
in
guys.
America. And I just played it, and it doesn't.
We're getting so played.
It literally is just a blank screen for 10 seconds.
Everybody go buy a bow.
I mean,
gosh,
you talk
literally.
about physical copies of things.
What are
they are erasing history. And I know it's just a dumb movie.
No,
if you think they're doing it with a movie,
yeah.
they're doing it on such bigger levels.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes no time.
Exactly.
When digital comes through, it's like it takes no time for them
That's
to
so
do
crazy.
that.
They're doing this with Netflix. Imagine what else they're doing it with. That's crazy. They could literally rewrite our digital history.
The Terminator is the prequels to the beginning of The Matrix. Sarah Connor is actually Neo's mother. So JC, John Connor's Jesus Christ, grows up to be Neo, one and the same in The Matrix. The Matrix is in the future. The Terminator is the past. It's time travel, past, present, and future time travel. It's the second coming of the Christ, the evolutions of consciousness, man versus the machine. So the machines, the Terminator machines, hear that a child is going to be born that's going to terminate them in the future when they oppress man. Because see, it's a man versus the machine. It's God's children versus man's children, which was technology.
A number of things that I've heard from people in the Pentagon, that the buzzword in the secret of secrets in the Pentagon is the Sumerian gods are returning, and that's what they're referring to as that whole area that Peter's.
Wow! Can you repeat that again, just in case anybody missed it? The buzzword in
the Pentagon, in the military circles that are in the know about the cover up here, they kind of in whisper tones talk about the return of the Sumerian gods, and they're talking about the what we would call aliens or fallen angels returning into the Middle East, into Old Sumer area.
the Anunnaki.
Well, could be.
Under the other ancient names. Do you think that has anything to do with why we're in a...
This is fucking crazy! What the fuck?
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you check this one right here. Thanks again. Till next time.